Hey guys, how's it going? January 20th, 2020. I wonder how many times I've said 2019 this year. I bet you there's been a couple videos because I keep on signing everything 2019. So I'm at Rice Yard, recovering something from a year ago. Still pretty bored. I'm getting tired of relying on anything as far as community anymore. It seems like it's a world where you're either part of something big or you're basically doggy dog. So, but I got a lot to talk about, I suppose. But I want to try this out at least and see if things have improved. And I thought, let me try Waycross. I haven't tried it in a while. These cars are from a year ago. And I thought, let me try this and see if this humps properly. If it does, then perhaps there's been some changes within a year that have helped. Or it could be because I was just hosting a server and trying to run this hump, which could be detrimental in itself. So I might be not be able to do what I was kind of thinking about doing. But I mean, anyways, I'm blabbing here for a moment. I'm hungry, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. It just seems like everything I started, then I gotta eat. So I'm just gonna start some toast, and I'll be back in a minute here. I'll let that start humping. Seems like every time I start a session, I'm just like, okay, I haven't had anything to eat. Should I have something to eat first? Well, I already have it started, so. The last thing I did on this route was I tried to do the Sanford sub again. But I'll get to that in a minute. Now the good thing is I've actually had a great weekend with my son, despite the fact being indoors because of the weather, for the most part. The bad part is I haven't really found out something. Like what we did was we Kerbal Space Program. Picked that up and oh my god, is that awesome! Son and I love it. It's a fairly older program too, so. So the last time I ran this, there was some mishumps. And there was mishumps, but the other issue was that certain cars would go down and then they would all of a sudden stop. I believe the certain cars go down and they would all of a sudden stop has been solved. So this is why I want to kind of give this another chance, possibly. What I still think is there's a resource issue. Probably if I'm trying to host a server, running AI in the background, too many things going on, that'll lead to mishumps. Let me turn off all those. I thought I did. Okay, it's just going to keep on bugging me and telling me that it stopped at red signals. And you know something? Actually, let me delete the traffic. Probably not the best test, but at least we'll see if this one causes any issues. In fact, let's go up. Let's make it a little bit better here so that we can see. I'm not sure if I have Cars and Industries or what. I believe what happened is I'm using the industry file from from Sanford, and it's cross-pollinated right now. Anyways, so man, that thing takes a while to, or it takes too long to toast, which means it usually burns it. Take a look at this. Oh man. Yeah, that's a little hot. I don't know what I did to this thing. So I don't know if it's going into the right tracks or not. Back. Okay, as long as I'm not overloading tracks, I'll let it go. From what I can see, I'm not overloading tracks thus far. A bit further here. There we go. I'll check later if it went down, if there's any mishumps. Alrighty. I'm going to turn the microphone off for the next few minutes or so you don't have to hear me chomp and crunch. And then I'll be back in a few minutes and enjoy the view. So probably in about another 5 minutes, then I'll let you know what's happening. Okay, so that test didn't last long. So we still have, I don't know what the error is. This is why I wanted to test it, to see what was going to happen. I have no idea why that does that. It's a refrigerator car. Now I know there was a fix this past year for something to do with longer cars or something. The problem with Waycross, and I said this before, and I think the solution we were given at the time was fish it out of the trim. Well, fishing it out of the trim means pulling everything out and trying to figure it out. As you can see, these cars are loading up. There's a lot of cars here, so I'm sure this is taking a resource hit. Now, I believe Scott and I were the ones working this yard last year. I can't remember for sure. It really doesn't matter at this point because I'm not going to be saving this. But it still has the same issues. I can't do what I wanted to do with this, and that was the problem. What was suggested a long time ago to resolve this was to put manual switches in, despite the fact that there's not prototypically manual switches in here. It would allow the hump units to come down, pick up the cars, and we try it again. Why certain cars do this, I don't know, but it seems to happen on the bigger cars. The issue that I had, I believe I don't know what the error was. It used to be that there was too much curvature or something derailing, blah blah blah. So, anyways, that's gonna be a flop. So I'm not even gonna bother with Waycross. I'm not gonna bother with Florida. I could do Sanford Sub. I've done it before. I don't really feel like doing it, to be quite honest. So it's been a year. I don't know who's running or who's doing what or whatever, but I'll show you. I'll give you an example here. This is I mean, you got that many cars on the hump. I'm not saying that you should fill up the entire yard. That was never the I think there was a warning about, well, you shouldn't fill up the entire yard or anything like that. I understand that. I get that. So where is it? Is it 10? I can't remember no, wrong one. There it is. So here's the tags that I had set up for this. Now you can see there's a few that I'm not using. I think there's like 6 tracks that I'm not using. Everything else was sorting this out. There was only one hump configuration, and that was it. If you're gonna build a hump this big, and this is as real as it gets, then it should operate, in my opinion. It's been a year. I know everybody's had some issues and small group and blah blah blah, but I thought this one was fixed. I was thinking to myself, oh, it has to do with the fact that I'm hosting and running a bunch of AI. I'm not running any AI right now. I deleted them all. The only AI I'm running is here, and I've got a lot of cars in this area for sure. But that's what this yard is supposed to do. It's supposed to, and this isn't even I would dare to say, I know there's some tracks that are fuller than others. I would dare to say that this is probably... My guess here would be 1/3 full, looking at this. So it still has the same issue that it had before. And, you know, here they are. They're all going down this track here. So this is where it started with this reefer. I might as well let it go down to the end now because it really doesn't matter. I don't know what track it's going under. If it's an empty one, well, it's an empty one at least. But I think that's where it started. And it doesn't matter anyways because I'm not saving this. I'm not gonna be playing around with that. So yeah, disappointing. But I figured I'd give it a test. I wanted to see. And unfortunately, that's a no-go. So I had Sanford going. That's fine. So of the we have 3 regions, okay? So I'm just gonna basically might as well say what's on my mind right now. So now it's I was gonna start talking. I had just finished the toast, and all of a sudden I saw that error. I was watching it carefully, and I thought, let's see what happens. Everything's running good so far. Maybe it's an AI. If it was a matter of me hosting, that was the issue. Well, then I'd have to decide. Okay, well, do I want to play single player, and do I want to just keep it within the hump area and just hump? Because what I was trying to do, basically, is I got nothing against having a mainline or dispatching a mainline. I actually do want to run mainlines. I actually want to run ideally I would like to run a mainline that runs for, say, 30 miles, let's say. Have 1 yard, doesn't have to be a hump, just a yard, something to make up some trains and some industries. We've got all class 1s. You've got the Southwest that is absolutely huge. And yeah, there's spawn points and there's some things you can do, but I don't know what there is. And this is why I try things, and it just something doesn't feel right about every single thing that I've ever tried. It just doesn't feel right. So I go back to the drawing board, and I've done this for, I don't know, 2 years. Back when we first started, we had the Southwest. It was much smaller. It was manageable. I remember making trains before the hump back in Old Yard. And it was fine. It worked great. It did what it had to do. This is long before any AI. We ran trains up and over the hill. We had some industries like Edison. I don't even think there was that much industries in Bakersfield. In fact, SJVR stuff, there was hardly anything. So it was mainly Edison. There was a little bit out by Mojave and Boron. Barstow, I can't remember how that was when the hump wasn't there. I forget how that actually came into play. But I remember we used to build trains in the Old Yard when we first started. And this is the very beginning when we first started, and this was even before Needle Sub. This was the very first route that they had. And that was back in version 1. It was just that. I understand these guys got to make money on add-ons. All of them want to. I imagine Selkirk They have plans to expand, you know, someplace else. I know the Southeast has plans to expand, last I heard. Everybody wants to expand, but unfortunately, it's you get you have a single player who wants to operate somewhat prototypically, but doesn't have either the manpower or doesn't have the what's the word? Doesn't have the manpower, or if they have the manpower, just like as far as AI goes, AI is a great tool. I love AI. I thought it was going to change everything because what I was hoping AI was going to become, we used to have a bunch of communities, and a lot of them were suffering because they couldn't keep up with the big guys. So what ended up happening was AI came along, and all of a sudden there was a level playing field because now AI was introduced, and suddenly we were able to run trains, we were able to operate, we were able to do the yards and all that. But in the meantime, things started expanding. There was more and more routes coming into play, and next thing you know, it was just crazy. I think I gave up. I gave up my server back in version 1 before AI, if I recall. And the Southwest server is today still there. Mike, he was watching a football game on Sunday, so he didn't host. I understand that. I ran the week before with them, just wanted to relax. And there's sometimes I just want to relax. I just want to have a nice, relaxing mainline run, or I want to have a nice, relaxing run the hump over the bowl. Kind of straightforward. You just set it at 2 miles an hour, keep an eye on things, and there you go. You're all set. So the Southwest is absolutely huge. The Southeast, what we were just in, doable in some parts. I mean, Sanford Sub was okay. There's a nice main line. You can actually branch out and use certain sections, but then there's a lot of industry. So what do you do there? Do you just ignore the industries and just run main lines? That's kind of boring. Or do you run some? Or there's, I mean, yeah, you got to be really, really creative to come up with ideas. And it's not about just getting short lines. There's one extreme to the other. You got your short lines, which is a total different extreme compared to a class 1, say a class 1 or even a class 2, something that runs, say a few trains a day, has a few industries, and is able to switch. So you get a very small group of people together, and you are pretty much able to run that thing almost 24/7, and you wouldn't miss a beat. There's no such route in Run 8. And I was hoping there was going to be by now, but there is not. And every time I go back to it, I'm just hoping, okay, well, let me try this. Maybe because they fixed this bug, I can go back and I can run the hump in Waycross, because they did fix the one where I could actually run the southeast now, or the south, not the southeast, the northeast, Selkirk region. So Selkirk, as far as I can tell, the Selkirk hump works properly for me. I haven't run it for a while. I haven't tried it. Last I checked, it worked fine. I think there's one. Well, let's do this. How about we do this then? I gotta darken this for a minute because I got passwords that are showing, unfortunately. So I'm gonna go into extra board. I'm gonna keep on this for a minute. I'm gonna go over to Smiley server, which is I can't remember the name of the server. It's on Run 8 servers. I've featured it in a couple others. You can find it on Run 8 servers. It is, I forget the stupid name he's got for it. You know, I with all due respect, I just don't know because it's got some weird initials that doesn't have anything to do with Smiley. So I think of Smiley and I don't know what the initials mean. I don't know what it means, to be quite honest. But anyways. So let me go into extra board, Selkirk Hump Tower. We'll launch that. And we'll run a hump train there on as a client and see how it goes. So before I do any more, I have got to turn this off for a second. I'll be right there. I'm going to join the server. So I'm going to go on Smiley server. It's if you're looking for the the IP address, it's kiwr8.hop2.org, port 15197. There's no password. The only reason why I had to darken that for a second and why it's dark right now is because I have the password for the Southwest that insists on showing itself, which makes live streams very difficult. But so is the issues. Okay, let's turn this back on here. Game capture, monitor capture. Okay, we're back on. Awesome. So his server, I helped set up the AI streams. So this is a 24/7 server that basically runs itself as far as AI, because you have your double track mainline on the Mohawk sub. Now unfortunately not enough people use this. If more people use this, I would be very interested in running this more often. So the way it's set up is there's a spawn point here for Amtrak trains that come out of Hudson. They come down, they work their way through the Amtrak way, and they go off, not the Carmen, they go off on CP rail. They're set up to just do that. That's all. It's just one-way traffic. That's obviously, it's a single track section. You can't dispatch. As far as the remainder, they come down here, cross over, and then they I'm just trying to think of how or where they go from here. Sorry, I'm just thinking. It used to come down here, but it looks like it's changed. They used to cross right here, but apparently they're going over the bridge now. Which is fine. I mean, they can. It doesn't matter where they go. So, they used to cross here. They used to come down the Chadirondack sub. I don't know why they're not now anymore, but they'd come through here. I guess they go off towards Boston. So all these trains head off towards Boston, and then, I mean, it changes. But for the most part, I'm just trying to remember if that's, they come up this way, and then the trains spawn over here this way, I think. I don't know, it looks a little bit different than what I remember it, but yeah, whatever. So there's one making, everything else looks like it's right-hand running for the most part. I see some more signals that are lit up, but whatever. I mean, I don't know. There was one set of cars here I could hump if I wanted to, which I think I'm going to. I think, yeah, the bowl's pretty much okay, with the exception of B768 is probably needs some trimming. So let's see if I can do one of these. probably not going to work without having to do quite a bit of trimming. What's on this one here? Okay, the hump's on that one. I think I'm going to run into the same issue with this one, probably. Yeah, they got B768s as well. So one way I can do that is to get the trims and just run them down here for now, and then I'll deal with it later without running it off the thing. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong side here. Yeah, we'll get the B768s out of here. Now this isn't ideal as far as, I mean, not ideal as far as, what do you want to call it? Oh crap, here we go. Is it that one? Yep. So let me get the trim out of the way and I'll get a hump going, and then I'll let you know what I was thinking. Oops. I still had the speed control on and it hadn't given up yet. What the hell? I swear it was yellow. Okay, I got the wrong ones. I think I can get back on there. Let me back up here. There we go. So he runs this New Zealand Standard Time, so it's 3:43 in New Zealand right now. And the reason why I posted a message on my forum about reflection and all that is I understand that I'll start something and I'll quit something, I'll start something and I'll quit something. The reason why I'm doing it is because Run 8 is the best train simulator on the planet. It's so frustrating because you've tried for so long. I can't tell you how many different. Why is that showing there? It shows it's occupied, but it's not. At least I don't think it is. Oh, okay, whatever. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I can head down here without running into problems. And I can by simply throwing this switch here. So the reason why you throw these switches at the end is just a nice little trick. See, the Amtrak's running into now. If there's a dispatcher, that it would be easy to get things going. Okay, so I should be okay now to go through. I get confused where the tracks are here. There we go. So I think I'm set up to pull that now. That's the one I want to pull. Alright. Selkirk could really, Selkirk could really use more tracks, but based on what we just saw on Waycross at Rice Yard, that's the problem. And I know I got frustrated about a year ago because all of a sudden this was happening, and I was like, why is it happening? And I'm not too sure if it's my computer. But it makes operating very frustrating. Don't get me wrong, there's been times I've been frustrated in the past, but nobody frequents the forums. They come around like once every 6 months, and that's about it. Sure, you can email support, you can do whatever, but so what I do if I'm by myself, which seems to be a lot, I try to utilize AI as much as possible. Personally, being by myself, it gets old after a while, to be quite honest. Come on, baby. Okay, so that AI is that'll pull that string out, and then I'll keep an eye on the rest. Now let me go back along this line here for a minute and make sure. I really don't want to delete a train. If I don't need to, you know what I mean? One, I don't want to delete any train. So this is going to come down the hill here. And what it's going to do is, because there's only one now, if this crossover is gone, he would go right to the bumper and that'd be the end of it. But because this crossover is here, he'll start complaining and then he'll relinquish. And that's what I want him to do. I want him to relinquish so that I can go ahead from there and then head over to the other yard, which I think I can access now. And if I can't, then well, I should be able to. But anyways, I'll let him go there. See, here's like a train coming in right now. So he just makes his way, the AI trains come in and out. They just make their way through the yard, go down, head somewhere else, and that's about it. So he's doing his thing. And then what that means is we can go ahead and go to the hump tower. And I forget which one. I'm gonna pull the whole configuration from host. Scott hump setup new ops. I don't know what that is, but okay. So I think Scott was doing something with Smiley, the last I heard. I know he was on the server for a bit, but then he started doing his own thing, or he got tired of Run 8. And I understand, because he goes through the same thing that I do. After a while, it gets, you know, you get tired of it. So we'll see how well this one works. Last time I was humping, I think it was Barstow and a few others, I didn't have any issues. So it could be a resource issue, and that's fine. Okay. Which way is that going? Oh, it's already coming down. Uh-oh. Better make sure I got them on the right tracks. Oh, the Amtrak's right behind him, isn't he? Yeah, there he is. He's the one that's been begging for more track. Okay. So I'll put the hump controller active. Everything else is good. Holy crap, why is he going so? Oh yeah, I forgot it dumps. It really takes a while to... This comes down a hill here and does... I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's not like your traditional hump, it actually goes down a hill first or something. Then it starts, if I'm not mistaken, then it starts climbing. I'm going to release the brakes now. Maybe I won't. I know there's a point where I can release them. Nope, not yet. No, still going a little too much for my liking. Oh well, we'll let the brakes go for, or keep the brakes on for a bit. So we'll see how this runs. See, I used to think that going too fast is what caused the issues, but I'm never really sure, to be quite honest. But we were under good control under Waycross, so I'm not too sure what happened. I'll check something out here, make sure everything's okay. Okay. See, it's starting to pick up speed again on me. Eventually, if I recall, the way Selkirk works is once you get going, you get into the bottom of the bowl of the receiving yard and then you work your way up. But if you're too heavy on the one side, you'll drift a bit. It's been a while. I don't remember the. Couldn't have been that long ago. Yeah. .10:02 Eastern. Only gonna hump this one train and then I'll... Hopefully I don't have to trim again. But it's still somewhat relaxing. All I'm doing is keeping an eye on the speed and just playing around with the independent brake. I've almost fully released now. Yeah, it's really starting to slow down. I think I might be at the bottom of the bowl. The receiving bowl, that is. Almost released. Totally. Not quite, though. Let's go back up again. You're still going down, okay. Nope. Not there yet. Got 20 in the brake chamber. Nope. Okay, back to 22. Alright. Let's try 21 if I can get it. Let's try that. No, it's insisting on 22. Or does it even need? Does it even want more? Eh. Well, it starts coming down in a minute. How far are we down that hill? Yeah, this is a long train. I don't remember them being this long. This is a really long one. Okay, let me try 21. See which way it goes. 20. Still going down. 19. I'm waiting for a reefer. Okay, now we're below 100 mile an hour. Let's try 17. Nope. 15. I think we're going mostly uphill now. Or almost there, or level anyways. 13? There it goes up. Alright. So I know about 13, so let me release it for a minute. There we go. Alright. Well, it really slows down for I'm at 10. Yeah, I think we're at 10 now. I think we're down to 9. Well, it's having a hard time. What I want to do is I want to get it back into the throttle so that I can control the speed. Then I'll be fine. But I'm not quite there yet. Very close though. Still going downhill a tiny bit. Okay, so we'll put it at 8. Nine. 10. Okay. Where is that thing? Look how long that train is. That's amazing. I actually saw some videos from Selkirk the other day. It was kind of neat. A lot of it looks the same, except obviously this part here is a little different because there's much more tracks, but that's okay. Yeah, that's going down quite a bit. I might need another trim. Ugh. Gotta watch it. Okay, that's a different one. That's good. I think we already did the empties. Yeah, so much for relaxing tonight. Let me see how much more room I got here. Doesn't look like much. Okay, I might have to... Actually, I'm probably going to let the Y123s go, and then that's going to be it. Because that's going to overload. Or overflow. No, I think it's flattened out now. Just got the crest too. Ah, crap. No, it's not there yet. There we go. Now we're on the uphill. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to trim again. Oh, and the auto rack was the one I wanted to test. The reason why I got to do it is because that's already fouling. Really? What's the excessive angle? I'm not too sure which car got that one, but anyways. Looks like these cars are still causing issues. So we're still having the same issues. I thought something got changed with it, but apparently it isn't. I take it that's a reefer. I don't know what the hell that is, but... obviously it's fine, but... okay, I'm gonna stop this one here. So I heard things had changed. I thought it had improved the last I heard, but guess not. So that'll be the end of my humping for the day. So what you do is you got to relinquish the hump. Certain tracks in this yard cause that stupid excessive curve. Those are the two issues we have with humps. We have these excessive curve ones, and then we have the I really want to get the rest of that down. I wonder if I can here. Hang on a second here. Let me relinquish this. No, I'm gonna have to. So what I want to do is just get this one more time. I'll get the hump controller on one more time. Well, it's already active. There we go. Just to save headaches here. No, that's what I was afraid of. I don't know what... Why 122? Oh, it would go down the same track. Okay. So now what do I do? So this is obviously causing lots of issues, but I'll post a message. It's 10:25. Well, it's unfortunate. B768, I'm not too sure where that goes. This is the problem. When I go to trim these things, I don't know where they're supposed to go. I mean, that track is like, I guess it goes here. Easy enough. So unfortunately, there are still issues with these things, but I don't know how the bigger servers get through it, to be quite honest, or if they have little quick fixes that they get around it. But that would frustrate the hell out of me. I mean, the only thing I can think of is eliminating reefers and auto racks would solve that issue, at least on Selkirk. Mind you, they're not running Selkirk, they're running Barstow, and if I'm not mistaken, Barstow is one of the yards that does not give you that problem. Selkirk used to give me the problem, and I thought, okay, well, they backed off on it. But obviously, that it's still causing issues. I haven't heard any more about it, but that's not a resource issue as far as I can tell. That should be an issue with the hump, or it's an issue with. So you got two right there. So those are your two expansion routes. So you're stuck with California if you want to operate a hump. And how long has that been known? I mean, seriously? Still the best train simulator on the planet, but it's... For me, it's... I don't know. I would have to avoid the hump, find an area that has nothing to do with the hump, because this thing would drive me nuts. Or do the workarounds. Get rid of the auto racks, get rid of the reefers. And I honestly, I didn't start this video to gripe at Run 8. I really didn't. I was hoping to find something. And people wonder why I quit. Or wonder why I give up. I go back to it because I do love this. I really love the potential of this program. I thought I had speed control off. So if I was to use, say, the southeast and just run Sanford, I can do it. The reason why I don't do it is it's not it's a section of the route that's, I don't know, there's parts of it I like. It's just I'm not a bit, that's just like a personal preference type thing. As far as the Northeast, it's mainly double track. California, there's a few areas, obviously Barstow, maybe that's something I gotta look into, maybe. Somebody suggested that too. Why don't you just run it on Barstow? The problem with BNSF trains is you have to spawn them. The spawn points, if you're just running Barstow centric, the spawn points, you would actually have to run everything off a Cajon sub. Because the closest one for BNSF trains otherwise on the UP Mojave, or sorry, the BNSF Mojave would be Bakersfield. So, I mean, you can run them just west off the Cajon sub. There's one area that comes out. The way they've set it up before, they set it up so that when you got version 2, it came with Needles and Mojave, so they set it up so that you could have spawn points for those, but they always assume that you want to run the whole route. They added a bunch of suggested ones, but I couldn't think of everything to suggest. You can run a simulation of Bakersfield, spawn trains out of just outside of Bakersfield, run them in. Like I said, sometimes I want to run a little bit of mainline. But, and I mean, these are I don't know. They're working on version 3, so you would think that hopefully these things would be addressed by then, but and there's been issues over the years where they'll fix it. I remember the explosions. That's where the rift between me and Run 8 started. We used to have trains that just exploded and disappeared. At least these things aren't exploding and disappearing, so that's, I suppose, good. They just require extra work because they get mishumped and but yeah, my Sundays and Mondays are open now. This was we had Kerbal Space Program for my son and I, but my Sundays and Sundays I've been running on the Southwest server. I just pick up a train and run it, and it's great because there's a dispatcher there. I think, like I said, I think California, oddly enough, doesn't have the issues with the humps. The curves aren't as sharp or something, and there's not as many tracks, so everything seems to work okay. I'm not too sure where that goes, and this is the issue that I have come to try and figure out where everything is supposed to go. I don't know. Probably going to leave it there. Unfortunately. I'll post a message explaining what happened. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the operations, so I don't want to screw it up any. I was okay with hump. I just wanted to test to see it, and I wanted a full yard that I could test it on. So that was it. But, oh, here comes a train. I was wondering when there was going to be a train coming from that direction. Finally got one. That's cool. So they're running them over across to Boston now, which is kind of cool. I think that I like that better. So then you get to, I think they were doing that before anyways, but if you're on the Hudson line, you get to see the trains go overhead, so it's kind of cool. So, yeah, certainly doable, but I don't know what the solution is for this, except just put up with it and deal with it, I suppose. But again, like I said, when you're short manpower and you have, I mean, they're talking about doing an AI hump for version 3. You can't do an AI hump when you still have issues like these. The thing would drive itself nuts. But anyways. Okay, I guess I pretty much made it through Monday. That's about all I could do, so I'm going to wind it down for this evening. Like I said before, I'm not too sure what I'm doing as far as next Sunday, Monday goes. Relying on people or relying on anything at this point has become fruitless. I've been willing to cooperate with others. I've been willing to, do whatever, but it's just I can't seem to get any people that I know personally interested, or they've lost their interest, or I've lost their. And like I said, this is called, for me, it's a reflection, because I've been the same way. When they've been excited, I've lost my interest. So, unfortunately, it's coming to a point where I'm going to have to decide, well, maybe it's time to just give up at Run 8 for a while, or put it down for a little while, as much as I want to go back to it. I really do. I miss running this. I miss running in a nice group. California was probably the one place where it was pretty good. It just got so freaking huge, unfortunately, and that just I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I think it's great. It works fine. It's so freaking huge, and you got 3-4 dispatchers or whatever running. There was 8 people on California, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday prior. And I remember seeing 4 people. We had 3 dispatchers, 1 person, I think there was a train master, and then 4 others were running. And I'm thinking to myself, why are we running that many trains for just the entertainment of 4 people? It didn't make any sense to me. It never has. And it's great. Honestly, it's wonderful to be able to run a train under a dispatcher. I had fun with that, at least. But man, that's a lot of manpower. And that's the thing I felt when I was running the server. Even when I was dispatching, I'm dispatching the majority of AI trains, and I think I had Scott on, and that was it. And he was the only one that was on, and I had all these AI trains that I were dispatching around. And I'm thinking to myself, I'd be better off doing train dispatcher. Don't get me wrong, I like Scott's company, But I thought to myself, why am I doing this? It just doesn't make sense, and it's too bad. But I mean, there's a lot to do on this server. I mean, aside from if more people got on to this server, like I said, it runs 24/7, and if more people were interested in this, which I don't know if they are, at the very least, there's tons of switching jobs, plenty of mainline, but that's something that people have to decide, whether they're interested or not. Meanwhile, you still have two big servers, and I believe there's a Northeast server under one of them, at least. So I think it's still represented. I think there's a Southwest server, but I'm not positive on that. But I don't know. I don't know what's running on the big boys anymore. And it's too bad, because there used to be plenty of choices out there, and now it's just like, yeah, you got to do, you got this or that, and if you don't like it, well, that's it. So that's like pretty sad, I think, personally. But maybe but then it's like, well, you're the one that's griping, or you're the one that's miserable, or you're the one that's this. Well, I just showed you two routes that have issues that have been known for over a year. And I thought it was fixed, but apparently it's not. So, you tell me. I don't know. It's too bad, because those are the closest routes that I can think of that are still small enough that it might be manageable. But even this is a lot to do, and this is the smallest of them. And you look at Waycross, you had 60 some odd tracks. If I just focused my attention on Waycross, I probably could get away with doing it. If I focus my attention here at Selkirk, I probably could get away with doing it. But other than that, everything else it's too much. But anyways, enough of my soapbox. I'm done. So, like I said, don't know when I'm going to do the next one, if I'm going to be around next Sunday. I got to really start thinking this week. I've solved the issue between my son and I for the winter. I think we're going to be. He says I should do a live stream for Kerbal Space Program, and I said nobody on my channel is interested in Kerbal Space Program. There's hardly anybody watching my channel. I said, so why would I do that? And I said, let's just enjoy it and not worry about it. So if any of you guys want to see Kerbal Space Program, I mean, I'm up to putting it on. I don't care. It's a fun little program. We spent the whole weekend playing around with it. It's great. Yeah, it's not trains. I don't know what else. But I gotta have to think about, what's going to happen. I mean, this is. But you look at this. I mean, the way the AI says this is awesome. For a train to just be able to follow the signals. There's so much good in this software. I know I sound like I'm griping on Run 8. There's so much good in this software compared to what there isn't. I want to make that perfectly clear. There is. Just because there's been an issue that's been around for a year on two routes, that don't mean that this is still the best train simulator out there. It really is. Unfortunately, there's just not enough manpower to run these huge routes. And when you have frustrating little things that happen like this on here, or you have a frustrating issue that happens on a Waycross, those routes all of a sudden don't become as appealing. And then you got California, and it's just like, okay, well, what do we do with California? Where do I start? Where do I begin? And it never just feels, and you don't get that right feeling, because you don't have enough spawn points in places you'd like to have spawn points. You got some in certain places, but then in other places you don't have any. So anyways, enough of me griping. It's sad, but there's so much that I'm going to miss about this software. And this is why I keep going back to Run 8, because I miss the times we had when version 2 first started. We had AI, we had plenty of people on the Southwest server, and it was a blast. There wasn't an expansion. I don't think LA was expanded yet. No, LA was still under development. And we didn't have Seligman, we didn't have the others. The only thing we had was the original Needles, we had the original Mojave, and we had Cajon Sub. That was it. And believe me, that was a lot to handle. But we had enough people to make it, at least give it a go. And I think we were under 2 dispatchers back then. They do 3 dispatchers right now, and 3 dispatchers, they get their hands full. Let me tell you. It's probably better off to have 4 dispatchers, but they can wing it on 3. It's not as relaxing as it used to be, or realistic as it used to be, because a lot of dispatchers' positions are not supposed to be constantly hectic the whole entire shift. And that's just the way it is. I mean, I can dispatch both of these, that's fine, but there's really, for what there is in the Southwest, by rights you should have at least 4 dispatchers. And you can go with 3, but it's not like it used to be. So unfortunately, that's the way it is. And I thought about myself, well, maybe I should put up my own server, but what am I going to do? How am I going to attract people? How am I going to, people have tried that. It's just, I know people who've tried it before, and it just, oof, it's a daunting task. It's kind of like a loser's errand, I think. Oh, sad. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna get going. So I'll post a message. Actually, I'll post a quick message over on Smiley's forum to let him know what happened. Anyways, guys, have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Take care.